everybody, and welcome into Around the Felt. I don't know what happened there, but regardless, and welcome to Around the Felt. We got a big, action-packed episode tonight. We're doing the divisional round predictions. We got 4 major games with major implications this weekend. My name's Reagan. I'm here with my co-host, Colin. We're going to be diving into every game. We'll probably get into some bets we each like this weekend, and really just talking about the matchups and who we think it is advancing, who we think is going home, and tuning into our mock draft next week.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm excited, man. What a slate of games. You know, some of us predicted this slate of games perfectly last week. And that
Yeah,
would be
Garrett.
me and Garrett.
And
That would be me
you,
and
after
Garrett.
watching Garrett's predictions, also did
Dude,
it.
I was on my deathbed, so unfortunately I didn't even watch. I made my video, punched my picks in. I was like, damn, this guy Garrett's pretty smart. So
Let me
Garrett and
copy
I
him.
earned
Got
this.
it.
We earned this. We predicted these exact matchups. So for me, tonight's pod will be really easy. This has been in my brain for a week. I already know who I'm picking, and I'm excited to break it all down and tell you why any game you go against me, holy shit. I'm looking at the picks. We are opposite side on every single game. You should be nervous. You should be nervous.
I don't think so. Sounds like one of
Nervous.
us is going 0-4 and the other one's going 4-0.
Yeah, I'm going 4-0. Before we get into all the games, though, we got to talk about some news. And I know we just did a pod last night. Hopefully, you guys listened, breaking down all things wild card weekends and lots of NFL news, coaching hires, injuries, and the such. Today, we got some big Giants news and some big Jets news. So the boys, being a Giants fan myself, Reagan a Jets fan, we got to dive into it. Let's start with Dante Moore, the Oregon quarterback.
Yeah.
Decides to go back to school for another year instead of declaring where he almost certainly would have been the second overall pick to Reagan's New York Jets, because it seems like Fernando Mendoza is a lock to go number 1 to the Raiders, who desperately need a quarterback. Mendoza, Heisman Trophy winner. Indiana's a juggernaut right now. Makes too much sense.
That one hurts because my mock draft's already busted.
Yeah, your mock
Both of them.
draft is already cooked because you had Dante Moore in it.
Yeah.
Which is
I think
crazy.
everybody's mock draft is, so, that's all right.
It is. All these people have had the Jets taking Moore at 2, and now they got to go a different direction, because I highly doubt they're going to go with a Ty Simpson or Trinidad Chandless.
No.
At number
I mean,
2.
I'd be pissed. I would be
That'd
pissed.
Very unlikely, right? So
Yeah.
you've been beating the drum for the Jets to not take a quarterback. You did not want Dante Moore, so you must be pretty happy with today's news, Reagan.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really happy because I think our roster is terrible. It's in shambles. Not a whole lot of exciting pieces to be happy about there, So, yeah, of course, when you have 3 picks in the top 33, 2 in the top 15, of course, I would rather invest all those. And then, next year you got to think we're probably going to be bad again. So that means an early second on top of
3
three
picks.
first rounders. And I believe we also have a second rounder this year from Dallas. So we're going to have a lot of capital over the next 2 years, and I don't think we need to force it. There's plenty of quarterbacks out there that we could bring in for a 1-year prove-it type deal, and hey, maybe we get lucky and it works out. And if we don't, guess what? We're in the same spot next year. So I'm fine with them going out and trying to make a move for Malik Willis or a Mac Jones, or probably not a Tua or Kyler Murray, because
Expensive.
they're expensive, and I also think they're good enough to make you think that they can be the future, where they're not going to be. Like, I don't think either guy's good enough to bring you to a Super Bowl, but I think they're good enough to convince the team that, hey, maybe we can build around them, and I don't want them to do that. So I would rather go the cheaper route and see if we have a diamond in the rough where we kind of know what Kyler and Tua are. At least Malik Willis, it's like he's such a wild card right now that worst case, it's Justin Fields again. Best case, maybe he is our franchise guy. With the other two, it's kind of like, yeah, their best case is probably like bringing you to the playoffs, which I guess would be nice, but it's like, I don't think either quarterback is ever going to be on a Super Bowl winning roster.
Yeah, and Willis gets a lot of similarities to Fields because they were both such potent rushers in school, but there's no doubt that Willis has better arm talent and he's more
He's got
accurate.
a rocket.
Given even the short sample size, what we've seen from him in Green Bay, I mean, he's certainly more accurate than Justin Fields, right? I think Mac Jones does make a lot of sense as a 1-year stopgap, kind of like a rejuvenation project. I doubt he's going to back up Brock Purdy again, given what we saw.
I know
from
he
him
is
this
under
year.
contract, but
Yeah, he is under contract, but he could also, I think he's got a great relationship with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and he could be like, hey, like, I'd like to compete for a starting job, and I don't think they'd hold him hostage, right? So I think Mac Jones makes sense for the Jets, but also Malik Willis I could see making sense too. Dan Orlovsky's saying that Willis is going to get between 40 and 50 million a year, and I certainly don't see that. I think that's a little aggressive. I mean, look at what Daniel Jones got. He got what, 20 million, and the
This
guy
could
had a
be if he does, I guess it's like
Bell.
the Matt Flynn 2.0 or whatever. Remember the
Yeah,
contract he got with Seattle?
that's
And it's
crazy.
funny because he came from Green Bay as well and had like 2 or 3 good games down the stretch that got him the big contract. So it legit would be Matt Flynn 2.0. So
It would be, which would be nuts. I don't see the Jets shelling out that big of a commitment.
no,
It's going to be a 1 year kind of deal because you still technically have Justin Fields under contract as well
no,
for
they already said
2026.
they're getting rid of him. He's going to get cut.
They already said that,
Yeah, it sounds
essentially.
everything's sounding like he's out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. You don't want to hold him hostage either, and it clearly didn't work out. Now, back to Dante Moore in particular. I've seen a lot of people bashing him for this decision, and I've had
Well, it's
conversations with
because
people kind of arguing against it. But go ahead.
well, first off, did you see Patrick Mahomes had to wear an Oregon jersey like 2 days prior? Because he
Yeah.
lost the bet on Texas Tech, Oregon.
And
So
then
he was wearing
Riola
it.
commits.
I thought that was AI, and I was like, wait, no, that's actually legit. Why Mahomes is wearing an Oregon jersey? Like, why? And then I found out. And then 2 days later, Riola commits to Oregon. So
It's
that's been
so
the huge
funny.
meme going around.
So this is his Mahomes arc, except instead of like sitting behind a guy in the NFL, he's going to sit behind Dante Moore, his Alex Smith, for a year maybe.
Well, he can leave though, right? He's not officially locked in. Like, can he decommit?
Riola.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
see why he
if
couldn't.
I don't know if he signed the contract. Like that's the thing. It's so muddy right now. Like we saw what happened with
multi-million-dollar contract to sit, but like,
the Washington quarterback. We saw what happened there. That whole fiasco, right, where he already signed the dotted line. It was locked in. Like they're going to go to the courts, so he had to stay. Back to Dante Moore, though. A lot of people are bashing him. Like you essentially were locked in, guaranteed to be the second overall pick, given the way it stands. In worst case, even if the Jets didn't want you, like the Cardinals at 3 probably would have taken him. So you're guaranteed a top 3 pick, and the number 2 slot per spot track is projected to be a 4-year deal with slightly over 50 million
yeah,
guaranteed.
crazy
So you're
contract.
sacrificing that. Then again, Phil Knight in Oregon certainly are paying him north of I'd guess 6-7 million for 1 year to go back to Oregon. People are like, well, what happens if he goes back and tears his ACL or gets a serious injury or a shoulder injury that could really affect
Why even injuries?
capacity?
What if he just plays bad?
What if he
I
plays
mean,
bad and you have
I don't
a deeper
like.
class in 27 with Arch Manning, with Lenora Sellers, with potentially John Mateer, with Sam Levitt, with Sorsby? Like it's a deeper class.
And it's
It's a
not even that
legit
it's a
class.
deeper class for me. It's just like, look what happened with Sellers, Nussmeyer, Klubnik, Aller,
They
Carson
all
Beck.
tanked. Yeah. And they were
All
all
5 guys were like these guys should go in the first round. Like the amount of mocks I saw like last year, like at this time last year, like Nussmeyer first overall, no Sellers first overall, no maybe Klubnik, maybe Aller. I don't even know if any of those guys are going to be, well, I don't. Sellers is going back to school, but some of those other guys, like I don't even know if they're going to be a day 2 pick, let alone a day 1 pick.
I know. But on the other hand, and this is where I actually agree with Dante Moore's decision, there is a thing to quarterbacks that enter the NFL with more than 25 or 30 starts under their belt and how success is much more likely than quarterbacks with less than 20 starts. And Dante Moore right now, I believe, has 17 or 18 starts. So he's very raw. That's why Ty Simpson's decision to declare is so head scratching because he only has a season worth of starts. And the hit rate on quarterbacks is not very high. So I think Dante Moore, although he might have sacrificed going number 2 overall, and he's kind of putting his name back in the hat, you got to perform for another season. You're sacrificing 50 mil guaranteed. You are getting a significant chunk of change for just 2026. And for your long-term NFL career, this is a good thing for him because he'll get more experience because he is still raw. And we saw that in the Indiana game, and not even
Yeah.
just that game, but he does still have
Well, both
some
Indiana
things he
games,
needs
yeah.
some things he needs to work out. So in that regard, I actually think it's smart because the real big payday is that second contract for a quarterback where, let's be honest, in 2032, 2033, where he'd be tracking to get that second contract, quarterbacks might be making over 70, 80 million a year. So that's the generational wealth. And this decision sets him up more so to be successful long term, which is why I agree with it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something we haven't seen before. But and that's another reason too why I'm fine with the Jets waiting. You just highlighted, how good that class is. So 2027 is something to be excited for the quarterbacks.
And hey, for your Jets, and it's like if you're there
And
at number
potentially your
2,
Giants too for next year.
I mean, yeah, you never know what's going to happen with Jackson Dart in year 2. You never know what's going to happen with Cam Ward in year 2. Like, because that's the thing,
It
right? It's
just
like,
seems like the bad teams always end up back there.
but it's like next year, like, who's to say that the Titans aren't picking first overall next year? And they're like, Cam Ward is still like, we're confident in him. And they auction off the Arch Manning pick. The Jets are prime. They have the most ammunition to go get Arch Manning if a non quarterback needy team. Let's say the Raiders take Fernando Mendoza and they suck again next year and they're picking number 1. Maybe, I mean, after
Very
1
well
year,
could be.
do you move
Very
off
well could be.
Mendoza? Because it's like, then you could auction off that pick and load up on capital to support Mendoza, and the Jets are primed to go get Arch Manning. So, given the quarterback situation right now, there's no way in hell you're taking any quarterback at number 2 if you're the Jets, and it's an opportunity to build up that roster, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough Dante Moore. John Harbaugh spent the day at the New York Giants facility, just got dinner, just wrapped up dinner, and he's flying back to Baltimore, where he will supposedly meet with the Titans at his residence tomorrow. I would be absolutely shocked if John Harbaugh is not named the Giants head coach by Monday. All the tea leaves, all the signs point towards John Harbaugh being the head coach of the New York Giants. He spent the entire day at the facility. All of ownership was there.
Bro.
Jackson Dart was
Bro.
there.
Why would you what would make you think that? The guy if he was going to be the Giants head coach, why the hell would he have the Titans at his own damn house?
Why would he have the Titans at his house and not flying to Tennessee to tour their facility like he did?
But
The
why would
Giants
he even
today?
waste the time?
Because he's a man of respect, dude. This isn't me. This is everything I'm reading from
From
all
who?
like reporters, all
But
reporters.
what specific reporters?
You want me to pull it up?
I'm saying, like, is it Giants beat reporters?
No, Gary Myers from The Athletic, all over it. Ian O'Connor from The Athletic, been all over it, all over it. They just finished.
I'm
dinner
just
with John
saying. I'm
Harbaugh. The
just
coach is
saying.
getting on his way to
I'm
lovely
sure the
Teterboro.
Titans beat reporters are saying the same thing.
No, they're not. They're
They're
not.
not. They're like they're not. We're not. All right. We'll see. Hey,
Everything I'm
it
seeing
would be
is
great for you guys if you get him.
You want to place a friendly wager? I am 95% confident John Harbaugh will be the Giants head coach. 95% confident. Everything I've seen
95.
points
Wow.
to Harbaugh. Everything coming out is Harbaugh loves the Giants, number 1 on their list. The only thing working out is
Yeah, but weren't you
Joe
guys saying
Schoen.
that last year with Mike Vrabel?
What are you talking about? Vrabel was always going to New England.
Yeah, but you guys were saying that you were going to get him last year.
What do you mean? They didn't have a head coach opening last year. What are you talking about? Daboll was still the head coach. What are you talking about? What do you mean, you guys? What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm saying Giants fans were saying, "Oh, we're going to let Daboll go, and Mike Vrabel's going to come coach us last year."
Okay, but that didn't happen, and Vrabel never was in the Giants facility for 10 hours.
All right, hey,
Like
we'll
Harbaugh
see.
was.
We'll see.
John Harbaugh.
Listen, if you can get whoever gets John Harbaugh should be very happy because even if it's not right away, I mean, we saw what his brother was able to do with the Chargers. These guys are winners. So whether or not they can win Super Bowls, that's another question. I mean, Harbaugh's won one, but at the end of the day, the team's going to be competing very quickly, even if it's not in year one.
Yes, and the flaws with Harbaugh and why he's no longer the Ravens head coach is late game management, blowing leads, clock management. Like those are still valid concerns.
Oh, perfect. And that's what your guys' biggest issue was last year. Perfect.
That's true, but he raises your floor and sets a culture that no other coach in this cycle is going to do. Although it is a pretty loaded head coaching cycle, let's be honest. But
you think?
I think so. I think
I think there's
the coordinators are high quality. I think Stefanski, Harbaugh, Tomlin's not going to coach. So
that's what I mean. I feel like outside of Stefanski and Harbaugh, like I don't know. I feel like there's a couple good coaches, but for the amount of openings, like I feel like some of them are going to have some questionable hirings, but also some of the jobs aren't super attractive.
Yeah, I mean, there's 9 openings, so someone's
that's what I'm saying. Though it seems like
shot,
some of them
right?
There's going to be some very interesting hirings over the next couple weeks.
Everything I'm reading is Harbaugh already has an offer on the table north of $20 million a year to be the head coach.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure every team would offer him that.
Money is not a factor. the Giants are willing to pay whatever they need for a staff. The only thing they're working out is the power between personnel, because obviously Harbaugh's earned the right to have say over personnel, not full say, but to have a very big influence. And it's what's Joe Shane's role going to be. There's talks that Joe Shane could be almost demoted and stay with the organization. There's talks that if it's Harbaugh's in, if Joe Shane goes, that they'd fire Joe Shane.
That would be wild. I mean, they probably should have anyway, but regardless of if they get Harbaugh, I think he should be gone.
And Harbaugh is number one on the Giants list, of course. And I tell you, a big thing that I think John Harbaugh wants, from everything I've read, and this is from not just Giants reporters, this is national reporters, is ownership that wants to win, stable ownership. Giants have that. A quarterback, and then cap space and control over the roster. Giants check all the boxes, as does Tennessee, except their ownership situation is a little more shaky, right? But as does Tennessee. Atlanta's a little bit different because, just hired Matt Ryan. Arthur Blank is one of the most in the weeds kind of owners. Apparently, the fact that John Mara, the Giants owner who is battling cancer, was in the facility all day for this meeting to be with John Harbaugh meant a lot to Harbaugh. Showing the willingness that we want this, I'm here for this. That apparently resonated very well from what I read. So I would be shocked if Harbaugh's not the Giants head coach.
Okay.
Hey, when we pod next week on Monday, when we recap divisional round, it's going to be a lot of fun because I'm going to be in the best mood ever because John Harbaugh is the new Giants head coach.
It's all right, buddy.
Playoff
Hey,
2026, boys.
Hey, I'd be happy for you guys. I'm just saying I wouldn't get my hopes up till it's official. I've been here before, and even when it does happen, it's not always, the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
I also recommend following Ricky Scoops on Twitter. The best follow. The dog, he's locked in. He's dialed. He's been all over it too. He's all right. Deal's basically done. They're just hashing out the kinks. He's going to be the Giants head coach. So
yeah, forget right. When can these go through these deals or any time now?
The Giants have already satisfied the Rooney Rule requirement, so they can make a hire whenever they want.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start to hopefully see some hires soon.
The only team that has. So I think Harbaugh's the first domino that will fall because then other teams will pivot off that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
All right.
All right. You ready for the questions?
News. Yeah, let's get into the mailbag.
All right. So we'll start with Caleb. He wants to know, which one of the wild card exits do you think will build on their – oh, wait, hold on. Which one of these wild card exits do you think will build on their momentum and go farther next year?
Any one of them?
Yeah. I mean, which one do you think will have the biggest – who will go the farthest next year out of the teams that got eliminated?
I tell you what, Philly is tempting because they just won the Super Bowl. LA, the Chargers, tempting because with a healthy Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, does that game go differently? Perhaps their defense showed up, and I don't think they're far off. But I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers, actually. I think with a healthy Micah Parsons back in the mix, healthy Tucker Kraft, another year of Jordan Love, who honestly played great in that game against Chicago. I know they fell apart in the second half, but the defense really collapsed as a unit when they lost Micah Parsons. And I know they don't have a first-round pick this year or next year, but this roster is set up to win now. LaFleur's back, and I think with Micah Parsons, they make a deep run next year. So I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. To be honest, to me, I feel like they're just going to only get better. They were really gelling in the second half, so I think they're going to take that momentum into next year. We also got to remember they will be getting a guy like Travis Hunter back next year. Yeah. So what will the defensive side of the ball look like with him there? You think he's going to play more defense just because they have the depth on the wide receiver core that they didn't have in the beginning of the year with the emergence of Parker Washington, as well as, acquiring Jacoby Myers and then extending him. So, yeah, I'm excited for what the Jaguars can do next year. I mean, we already saw they can win the division. Obviously Mahomes will be back next year, so you expect them to be better. But, I think they definitely can be primed to make a run. I mean, they were very close to being the 1 seed and being on to the next round. They beat Denver, the 1 seed, and ultimately didn't get that 1 seed, but that would have changed the whole lot of this whole playoff run.
Yeah, and they almost beat Buffalo, so that's a really good pick as well. And it's also year 1 under Liam Cohen. Winning 13 games is impressive.
That's the thing too. It's year 1, so you got to think they can only improve from here. All right, his next question: are you getting Team of the Destiny vibes from the Bears?
No, I'm not. The Bears are going to lose this week. I
I
got
am.
Team of Destiny vibes. I tell you what, like
I am.
the comeback kids, the vibes that they have, like the energy Ben Johnson is showing, like there is so much to love about what's going on in Chicago. I just ultimately don't think they have the defense to get out of the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any team that has Team of Destiny vibes this year, it is the Bears with all their comeback wins. I guess you could say the Broncos too, though, because they also, in a sense, have Team of Destiny vibes, where it's like no matter how bad and who they play, they somehow just figure out a way. But I would say the Bears definitely have it. I think they can get it done. I think they're going to beat the Rams this week, and the home field advantage is going to prove to be a big factor in this matchup.
That's one of the four
Um,
games we disagree on.
yeah, and finally, which quarterback will play out of their minds this weekend?
Matthew Stafford against that Bears defense that I mentioned. I think he's going to absolutely light him up. And I think there is something to Ben Johnson's shitty handshake to LaFleur after that game, something about the video, fuck the Packers, this or that, like kind of that cockiness that LaFleur and McVay are boys. LaFleur was under McVay in LA, and I think McVay is going to want to shove it to him. And I think the Rams are going to come out with no mercy and they're going to hang at least 30 points on this defense. And Matthew Stafford, I think, will throw 4 touchdowns.
Wow. Yeah, I don't I don't know. After their game against Carolina, I don't have the quite have the confidence that you have.
They still scored 31 points, though.
Yeah, that's fair. Somebody I'm kind of liking. I think Brock Purdy's going to have a nice bounce back game against
Okay.
Seattle. I really do. I
No
think
Kittle? That's ballsy.
listen, no Kittle, but Purdy is just gonna he lays it out there, dude. Like he fights with fire. I like the way he uses his legs a lot. He's not
I
afraid
like
of the
Purdy.
moment.
Good player.
He's been able to make it to the NFC Championship before, and you really could say they would have been in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for him getting injured that season.
Yeah.
So Shanahan's going to have a good game plan. A lot of people are going to be picking Seattle, but it's like at the end of the day, I'm betting on Kyle Shanahan and I'm betting on Brock Purdy, who's been a big time winner ever since he took over as a starter. So I think they'll have proper adjustments, and this offense will look way better than they did in Week 18.
You're not concerned about the 3 points just 2 weeks ago against this defense?
No,
And now there's
dude,
no George Kittle?
Because Kyle Shanahan's a coach where it's just like that when everything seems like it's bad and all these injuries, it's like they figure out a way. I mean, look where the Niners are, man. They won 12 games. All the injuries on defense, all the inconsistency and injuries on offense. I mean, he hasn't had Pearsall pretty much all year. He hasn't had Ayuk. Kittle's been injured for in and out of the lineup all season anyway. So it's like they just figure out a way. I mean, they were winning with freaking Mac Jones. So it's more of it's in Kyle Shanahan, but his game plan directly affects Brock Purdy. So I think he'll have the perfect game plan, and I think Brock Purdy will have a good game. I think he could push over 250 and have 3 touchdowns, maybe add one on the ground, in that 3. But I do expect a big game for him.
Okay. I disagree, but you're entitled to your opinion.
Someone just walked through behind me. It's Big G, and he's getting some milk.
Big G, the guy who knows ball.
I got my camera blurred. We're no free sponsors from that milk company. He said this is the drink of winners.
Is that all we got?
No, that was it from Caleb. Sorry. Yeah, that was it from Caleb. Then let's cut to Shaunie Mo. He has one question. He wants to know who is one team that could expose the Houston defense in this playoffs?
I think it's Buffalo. I think it's Josh Allen.
That's a good question.
It is a really good question because they look so unexposable from what they just did to Aaron Rodgers to end his career in Pittsburgh and maybe Mike Tomlin's coaching career. Like, who's to say Mike Tomlin coaches again? You don't know. People thought Bill Cowher would coach again. Bill Cowher never came back. Like, who's to say Mike Tomlin, he didn't just end his career, right? So I think it's Buffalo. I think
really, even with
Allen.
how Allen played against him in the regular season.
Yeah, it's just different.
Because he was sacked 8 times and had 2 interceptions.
Yeah, but he also got sacked once last week, right? Like the offensive line is gelling, playing well right
now. Jaguars defense is not Houston's defense.
I understand, but they're still like an elite caliber defense. They still got dudes up front. So yeah. I like what Buffalo's doing right now. And you know what? You could be like, well, Colin, like they just lost Tyrell Shavers and they just lost Gabe Davis. And it's like, I don't really fucking
that doesn't
care,
matter
dude.
to me. Yeah,
I don't really care that their wide receiver room is thin because I think the wide receiver room sucks anyways. And he's going to find Shakir a lot more 2 tight end sets. Like I expect a lot of Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. this upcoming weekend. And I do think Buffalo gets past Denver, and I do think they meet up with Houston. And I think Josh Allen, whose playoff stats are freaking ridiculous, like you could argue without rings involved, just look at pure statistics in their playoff games. Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks all time in the postseason. Not from a wins and rings. He doesn't have the rings, but from his
Definitely does not have
performances
the
and his
rings.
box scores, it's unbelievable. His defense lets him down. The Buffalo defense is better this year. Granted, will Sean McDermott leading that unit let him down yet again and get canned? Maybe. Maybe. But I think Josh Allen is the guy that can not even expose. I don't even want to use that word, but do enough to like hang 20-plus points in this Houston defense. And with the way CJ Stroud's been playing with Nico with that concussion, you never know. That might be all you need.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of a cop-out, but I'm going to go with the Niners, Bears, and Rams. I'm not saying Seattle because I don't think their offense is dynamic enough, but I do think all three of those teams will pose some sort of threat to that Houston defense. And I know you could say, like, the Texans did match up with the Niners already this season and they won the game, so they were able to take care of business in that one. But I think there's always something to be said about an AFC versus NFC when you don't see these teams on a regular basis. You're not used to going against those formations. It's kind of similar to how Lamar has had such big success against the NFC because they're just not used to seeing that style of play consistently where it's like, oh, he goes against the Steelers twice a year and it's like somehow they seem to stop it, but then he goes against an NFC team who doesn't see it and it's like all hell breaks loose. So I think there's something to be said about that. And I will say, the Texans did go against them when it was Mac Jones at quarterback. Not that Brock Purdy's like that much better, but I think it is pretty clear, like just with what he adds with his legs, he's definitely a step up from Mac Jones, even as good as he was when he stepped in. So those would be my three answers, just saying, that those are some of the best offensive minds in the game right now, and McVay, Shanahan, and Johnson, that they would be able to come up with some sort of offensive game plan where you look at the other teams in the Broncos, the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Bills, and it's like they don't really have that offensive-minded coordinator that you're looking at that could just come up with a scheme to try to pick apart this defense and a good game plan.
Yeah, but the Bills have the reigning MVP, so.
No, I know. I'm just saying a different thought, something different. I guess it's a little bit of a slight to Sean Payton, but I don't exactly consider him, the offensive mind that he once was in New Orleans.
Wow, shots fired at Denver. Sheesh.
Well, no, because, Mike McDaniels is a defensive coach. Sean McDermott's more of a defensive coach, and Mike Vrabel is a defensive coach.
Yes, that is true. It's actually split 4-4, offensive coaches, defensive-minded coaches that are head coaches for the remaining 8 teams, which is interesting. Because there's all that big push about, offensive-minded head coaches, especially if you have a young quarterback. But split 4-4 from the 8 remaining teams.
Yeah, but that's all we got for questions. Great questions tonight, fellas. Thank you for submitting as always, and make sure we always post the link before we're going to record on our social media. So if you're listening, you're like, hey, I got a question, fire us a DM, fill out that link. It doesn't have to be on the link. We just love featuring questions on the pod. What can we say?
It's the best part, man. The mailbag, getting you guys involved. So any way you want to add a question, whether it's a YouTube comment or just a text to one of us or DM, send it. Rip the form, send it. We're always
don't be afraid
to answer questions.
We don't bite. Don't be afraid.
All right, man. Let's get into these games, shall we?
Yeah, I think we shall.
All right, we got 4 games to break down. A lot different from what we had the last couple of weeks of the regular season, where it's 16 games is quite a bit. So we got 4 games, and we're going to start Saturday at 4:30. Buffalo at Denver. Denver 1.5 favorites. Interesting line. I kind of like it. I kind of think that makes sense. And the total is 45.5. Not as low as I expected, given that Denver defense, but they're giving their flowers to Josh Allen and that Bills offense, I guess. With that being said, Reagan, I know before the season you had Denver making quite the run. I gotta think that's where you're going with this pick.
Yeah, I don't know how. They've done nothing to make me change my mind.
They got the 1 seed, so
it is funny too because the Bills opened at 1.5 point favorites and the line shifted to now Denver being 1.5 point favorites, and I think that just speaks volumes to where the sharp money is. Not that I'm basing anything off of that, but Denver is the better team. They're a lot different than this, because this was the playoff matchup we saw in the first round last year in the wild card, and this Denver team is much different. Clearly, as they've won 14 games. You've seen, Bo Nix has been up and down, but at least he's shown enough that he's taken, a step up from year one. And not as much as I had hoped, but he's still taken a step up. The run game has been a little shaky, but ultimately, my faith comes with this defense. This is one of the best ranked defensive units out there. They're stacked in the secondary. They're stacked in the linebacker core, and they're stacked on the line. Like, it's similar to the Houston defense where it's hard to find a weak point on this defense. There's not much. So it is going to come down to Bo Nix. And I think they will have a good game plan in place. Like, this Buffalo defense is not the Houston defense I was talking about. Like, I think Sean Payton has come up with a plan to beat this middle of the pack Buffalo defense. And ultimately, it's going to come down to their defense getting some stops on Josh Allen and the fact that he's got a very depleted wide receiver core and he's going to run out of options. Like, I highlighted it a little bit last pod. It's like you looked at that Steelers matchup in Week 17 against the Browns where it was just like they were on all these like backups, and it's just like these guys can't get separation against these good secondary. So it's like it doesn't matter how much time you have. Like, if they can't get separation, where you could even throw a quarterback spy on Josh Allen to keep him in the pocket, so he's not running, and it's like you're fine with putting Pat Surtain and Jadaean Barron and even Riley Moss on some of these wide receivers because it's like they can lock them down in man coverage. So it's going to be tough, and the pressure will win out eventually. I mean, the Broncos got a sick, amazing defensive line. I mean, they have one of the best edge rushers who I still feel like he's pretty underrated. You don't hear about a lot of the big media outlets talking about this guy and Nick Bonito like you hear about some of the other guys like Myles Garrett. Obviously, Myles Garrett had a historic season, but you don't hear him in the same conversation with like the Max Crosbys, the Micah Parsons, the TJ Watts. But it's like, listen, this guy has been a beast over the past 2 years. 14 sacks this year, 13 and a half last year. Like, he is one of the best edge rushers in the league. So I think he's going to wreak havoc. And then on the interior, Zach Allen also has been huge. And then they add Jonathan Cooper and John Franklin Myers, who also added another 7 this year. So, they got 4 guys that have gotten over 7 sacks this year. So I don't know, man. It's going to be tough, but I'm rocking with the Broncos, man. I'm sticking to my guns.
That's all great, man. I mean, I don't disagree with many of the things you said. Like, you're absolutely right. This Denver defense is legit. They're going to pose a lot of problems for this Bills offense. And you're right. If they're going to go man coverage, it's going to be tough for Buffalo's receivers to get open. I don't really care. Josh Allen's been here. He, in my opinion, this is his opportunity to make that run. And I think he understands that and he sees the lane in front of him. And I think he's going to go absolutely nuclear and shit on this Denver defense, which some weeks, let's be honest, Reagan, they haven't shown up some weeks. I mean, even the Giants hung over 30 points on him when Jackson Dart was just starting. And that's just one example from a bad team that's picking top 5. So there are weeks where
they are
like,
healthy now.
Shit, like they kind of got exposed a couple weeks. There's been many games this season where, fuck, man, like they're playing a bad team. Why are they only winning by 3 or 4 points? And there is something to be said where it's like, Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning head coach, he's been here. He's going to have his guys ready. I get it. But Bo Nix only has 1 playoff game under his belt. And you look at it and you're like, honestly, he didn't play that bad last year. 13 of 22 for 144, a touchdown. Also used his legs, which he does very well. And that's honestly when the Denver offense is at their best, is when Bo Nix can create with his legs and pick up first downs. And he had 43 yards on 4 attempts only. So for me, if Denver is going to win this game, Bo Nix has to use his legs like that, but he's got to be more efficient as a passer because I don't think RJ Harvey is going to be able to just run the ball down the throat of Buffalo because, as we saw, he hasn't been quite as efficient on the ground, although he's been an awesome weapon and out in space, quite as efficient on the ground between the tackles as J.K. Dobbins was, and I do think that's going to matter. Ultimately, for me, it's the quarterback matchup. It's the experience of Josh Allen. I've already highlighted how freaking good he is in the postseason. The opportunities there. You're talking about a team of destiny in Chicago. My team of destiny is the Buffalo Bills, and I think they take down Denver on the road.
I mean, hey, we'll see what happens. What I will say is, though, if they're to lose the game, it's going to be similar where it's super close and they lose because Bo Nix makes a couple bad turnovers like Trevor Lawrence did last week. I don't think it's going to.
This will be a very close game. For sure.
I think if Bo Nix takes care of the ball, they win this handedly. Like, I think it ultimately comes down to if Bo Nix.
The disrespect.
No, it's not, because I think Josh Allen's going to have to be Superman, and I think he will be Superman. I just think it comes down to, are you making the turnovers to allow him to continue to be Superman? Or like he was Superman for the Bills, and they only won by 3 points, and that's with Trevor Lawrence turning over the ball multiple times. If Trevor Lawrence takes care of the ball in that game, they probably don't win. And that was with Josh Allen being flawless. So that's what it comes down to me. The game's going to be close.
The Bills' defense for making plays, though.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they did make some plays, but ultimately, like, the Jaguars defense wasn't able to make plays, but that's because Josh Allen was playing like Superman. Trevor Lawrence was not.
Yeah, well, I also think like for my prediction to come to fruition, Josh Allen needs to take care of the ball. Like Josh
Yeah.
Allen can't have a couple bad picks down the
Oh, if he
field,
has
like in the
if
red
he has
zone.
multiple turnovers, it's over.
Yeah, if he has multiple turnovers, I do think Denver wins this game. I also think he needs more from James Cook. Granted, I don't think that's like James Cook's fault. Like Jacksonville is the number one rush defense in the league. They didn't allow a single
Well,
rusher
and if
to
I'm
have
the
more than
Broncos too,
75 yards.
I'm going a
So
similar suit. I'm going a similar suit. Take out James Cook. Let Josh Allen be Superman again. Make him have to make the throws and make the plays with his legs, knowing like, hey, we'll let all these like backup wide receivers they got going out there beat us. Like, I wouldn't let them try to establish a run and be like, hey, let's make him hand it off to James Cook. Like, he's the leading rusher in the league. I would 100% try to make him beat you with his arm because, like I said, it doesn't matter how good Josh Allen is. If these guys aren't open, they're not open. He could have all the time in the world and be able to make something happen. But if these guys just can't get separation, it doesn't matter anyway.
I tell you something I don't mind, Reagan, at all is James Cook 15 receiving yards. Given the weakness at wide receiver right now for Buffalo, it's going to have to be a lot of James Cook. He needs more than 20 touches, I think, in this game. And I think using him in the screen game against this potent Denver defense could be really valuable for Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because they didn't really use him a lot last week, and that's with Ray Davis, having the really bad fumble and Ty Johnson being out with the
Well, Cook
injury.
Cook will
They
have some
activated.
games where he have 50 yards and some games where he has zero. Like he's
Yeah, it
very
sucks because
sporadic. But I think in this matchup and given where they are right now, I think this is a good spot for Cook to get some work in the receiving game.
he had 2 catches last week for 5 yards. The thing is, they activated Frank Gore and he was getting the nod, and it's like I don't think James Cook is a bad receiving back. It's like I guess it's more the pass protection, which must be the issue because it's like you would think
Yeah,
they'd use him more as a receiver, which they just don't. So that does make me a little hesitant. But at the end of the day, 15 yards, it's like he could
one
have one
catch.
catch and
Yeah.
one target on one catch, and it's like that's all you need. So it's not a whole lot to ask for. I mean, obviously, I like Denver in this game. We already talked about it. You like Buffalo. I do lean the over still in this one.
I do
I
too.
just find it hard to believe that like both teams won't put up points. Passing yards, why Bo Nix over 220 seems like a lock to me. Even 250, I think at plus 231, I like a lot. But to get plus odds at 220 is low. I mean, you could even parlay these like because they have the combined passing yards like minus 108 at 425 plus. Love that. Like I still think Josh Allen's going to have to use his arm, so I'm surprised his line's like so low.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen is going to score again as well. He loves to score.
Yeah, are you going to do a big dogs this week?
Oh fuck yeah, dude! Is it pig's ass pork?
Yeah, any thoughts yet? I know Allen's minus 120. I'm seeing Harvey's minus 130. There actually anyone in this game is in play.
I know. I do lean Josh Allen. What's James Cook at? I'd be
He's
curious.
minus 110. I
Yes,
like
they're
Sutton at
pretty.
plus
They're pretty
200. That's some
even.
good juice.
They're pretty even. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in play. I mean, the total here, 45.5. I like the over as well. So
Ooh, Bo Nix
certainly,
at plus 310. That is
certainly
juicy.
that is juicy too. Honestly, that's juicy too. And I don't hate
What's
that at
his
all.
rushing line? Oh, Bo Nix is 25. That's one I like a lot too.
Hey, he had 40 last year, 44 roughly on 4 carries. So against the same
You
same
also got to
situation.
think in the playoffs, like they're going to be running more. I mean, we saw that Patriots Chargers game. It just seemed like, both of their lines were probably around 25 and they both like tripled it. So,
Hey, it's the playoffs, man. They're not really sliding as much. Like it's get every fucking yard you can, like move the chains, and it's do or die. So I definitely don't hate that at all.
all
All
right,
right, we
we
good
can
on
move
this
on.
game? You want to move
Yeah.
on? Yeah. All right, so Saturday night at 8, we got the Niners at the Seahawks in Seattle. A 7-point favorite. I'm not going to lie, I saw this line. I was pretty shocked at how high it was because they won 13-3 in week 18, but I mean, shit, that's one field goal from that being a push. That just seems like pretty crazy to me. And I know it is in Seattle like it was week 18. Your total here is 45.5, which we just saw 16 points. So that feels a little high to me personally. But then again, you expect a big game out of Brock Purdy. So you probably are foreseeing more points in this one and might be tempted with the
100%.
over. So I know you're going with the Niners. Would you care to elaborate?
I am going with the Niners in this one. I just think ultimately it comes down to Kyle Shanahan's ability to scheme up a good game plan here. I mean, this team just has won all season with all these injuries. So, the defense is going to play good. That Seattle offense doesn't scare me anyway. Like, I think even with as bad as the Niners defense is and is what they are, it just seems like every week, like, Salah's got these guys playing well on the defensive side of the ball. So I think if they can show, they don't even have to be like the insane Niners defense we saw down the stretch, but just like a competent offense that puts up 20 points, like that might be all they need in this one to get it done is 20 points. I do lean the over, but I don't think you need a crazy offensive output. I think you just need a similar defensive plan where you shut down Sam Darnold in that offense. You find a way to take out JSN. It's going to be a heavy dose of McCaffrey. It's got to be a heavy dose of McCaffrey. You hope Pearsall's back in this one. Jennings will be there. Like I said, Tunges, I think, will have a bigger impact in this one. I do like him a lot. So, I got the Niners in this one. I think this is going to be close. I mean, at the very least, they're going to cover. If Seattle ends up winning, it's going to be close. But I think 7's disrespectful for any playoff game. I know Kittle's injured and stuff, but even then, it's like that's a hell of a lot of points in a division game too. Like
it is.
And I know it probably all of it factors in from 2 weeks ago, but it's like I don't care. It's a close division games. These guys have played each other a lot, and it's just like, look who the head coach is, Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, that's valid. You make a lot of fair points. I am in agreement with you that I think San Fran covers the 7 points in a playoff matchup. Third time these teams have seen each other this year. Obviously, week 1, week 18, and now 2 weeks later from their last. And despite them not covering 7 the last time out, and despite them not having Kittle, I do think there is something to say about the experience of the postseason and what Shanahan and Purdy have done, and McCaffrey in the playoffs compared to Sam Darnold and what we saw from Darnold in the postseason last year, which was honestly, he shit the bed. So there is that level of concern with me, in which I'm taking Seattle to win this game. But I think it's going to be a tight one. I think it's going to be close. And honestly, I think it's going to be the Seattle defense that makes a play at the end to win it, not more so Sam Darnold 2-minute drill, go down and winning the game. I do think the defense will make a play. It might be a pick over the middle of the field. It might be a tip ball at the line of scrimmage, and they get it done. That's how I foresee it. JSN in both games against the Niners did not score, but he feasted in both of them. 6 for over 80 yards in the last game, and then in week 1, he had 9 for roughly 120. So JSN has got to be cooking on all cylinders in this one for the Seattle offense. And a guy that I love and I'm very tempted to take in Big Dogs to score, Kenneth Walker. I know Charbonnet is always a threat to score the touchdowns, but
no, thank you.
Just 2 weeks ago in this matchup, Walker, 16 carries for 97 yards, averaging over 6 yards a carry. Also,
how many touchdowns?
Four receptions for 36 yards. He did not score.
Yeah.
He has 5 touchdowns on the season. So I'd imagine, granted, this is very dependent.
And how many does Charbonnet have?
It's got to be worth juice, because Charbonnet's minus 105, Walker's plus 125. Honestly, with that tight of a spread, I don't love Walker as much. I thought it'd be more like plus 2.
No, I would still go Charbonnet just because it seems always like it's, and I love seeing the memes all the time. It's like Kenneth Walker, 60-yard run to get him down. In comes Zach Charbonnet for the 1-yard touchdown.
I mean,
but it's true, though.
Both guys had, Charbonnet had 20 touches. Walker had over 20 touches. They both got a ton of work in that game. And you're right. Charbonnet had 17 for 74, so 4.3 yards per carry.
Yeah, they are a nice 1-2 punch.
Touchdown of the game. He got the lone touchdown of the game. So maybe we go Charbonnet here. It's in the cards. I don't want to go JSN because he didn't score both times against San Fran. You got to think that they're going to do everything they can to take him away. But definitely got to go to the drawing board there. But I do think the Seattle backs are going to cook in this one. They'll do enough that they can protect Sam Darnold and get the win here.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I'm already dreading you taking that pick and then seeing us just screaming at the TV when Zach Charbonnet trots on the field every time they're inside the 5.
But it's also like we take Charbonnet and then Walker scores from 30 yards out, and it's just like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, but see, I think that can happen. I think that can happen, and Charbonnet still gets a couple goal line touches is the thing.
I think they could both score. Like, let's be realistic. They both can. But it's like,
I just think Charbonnet is more likely because you think he's going to get he doesn't need a long touchdown to do it, where it's like Walker his only thing may be outside the 10-yard line.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
You and Zach are just too You guys got to get your like Kenneth Walker like fandom out
Bro,
of
what
here.
are you talking about? I love Kenneth Walker, but I don't own him in any fantasy league. I don't. He hasn't been in Big Dogs once this
Hey,
year.
I'm cool
Like,
with his yardage props, but I'm staying away from that. Some props I like. I mean,
I
if
think it's
anything,
receiving
McCaffrey at
prop.
minus 125, like that is some phenomenal value there. Um,
Like it was last week.
yeah, and he scored twice, which felt like free money. Um, Purdy, 230, I like that a lot. Darnold 240 seems a little high to me. Receiving wise, JSN at 100 seems pretty high to me.
That's high.
So that's one
Walker
I'm going to stay
15
away
at
from.
plus money. 15 at plus money. He just had
Yeah, I
four for
don't mind
34
that.
2 weeks ago. I don't
Don't
mind
mind
that at
that.
all. Staying away from
Um,
maybe Cooper Cup's under.
I kind of like both tight ends. Barner at 31, Tonjes at 36. I think both guys will be involved. Jennings at 42. Pearsall not even on here, so that probably reflects he's not going to be playing. Purdy 20 rushing yards. I like that as well. But
What's
even
Darnold to throw a pick? I could see that.
McCaffrey at 55 rushing yards seems low, but I'm
Yeah,
staying
but he
away
hasn't
from that.
necessarily been super effective on the ground this year.
Yeah, my the McCaffrey props I always like is him to have like 100 all purpose. You usually get
Yes.
that at
Yeah, he does that all the time.
like even
Very
at like
fair.
his normal line's minus 112 for 112, which I don't mind at
Yeah.
all.
All right, let's move on here to the Sunday games. We got at 3 o'clock. Interesting time, but I kind of like it. Houston at New England, and New England 3-point favorites as they are the home team. So neutral site. Vegas thinks this is a pretty even matchup. The total here is the lowest on the slate at 40.5. I'm sure what that Houston defense just did plays a factor, and also what that New England defense just did. They combined allowed 9 points last week in the wild card round, which is pretty insane to think about. And it's a similar situation in that backfield where it's like, all right, if you're going to take a back to score, is it Ramondre or Travion? Staying away from the backs because I hate picking between those two because they're both good in my opinion. But all that being said, Reagan, you going with New England or Houston in this matchup?
Yeah, I kind of hope you just stay away from touchdown scores in this game, to be honest.
Oh, I am.
Um,
Absolutely, I am. This will not. This will be the one game there will be nothing from Big Dog. No
I
touchdowns.
I'm gonna go with the Patriots, just because I feel like they're the more complete team right now. Like I'm not inspired at all with that Houston offense, and it sounds like Nico Collins isn't going to be able to go. It really hurts them playing on a Monday. Like also speaking of that, not to get on too big of a side tangent, but like they should get rid of Monday night games for the playoffs for that reason. Like
Yeah.
if
Dude,
he played
just give
Saturday, he's
NFL the
playing.
game on Saturday.
Yeah.
ESPN, they have the TV rights. Give them a fucking set game on Saturday. It doesn't have to be Monday Night Football in the playoffs because it's an unfair
Yeah, do it at 1
disadvantage that
o'clock
they're
game.
at.
They would probably have Nico Collins because that's 2 extra days with the concussion, and now they won't have him because it's a Monday to Sunday versus Saturday to Sunday.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
unbelievable.
I hope they change that. I think they may change. I don't know. It's just dumb to me. Like why? Like and also for Houston, like you're coming in on one less day's rest now. Like yeah, you got the extra day for the
And you
matchup,
have to travel.
but yeah, so it's like the whole thing's dumb to me. But I'm taking the Patriots. I think those two things are going to be very impactful. No Nico Collins and Christian Gonzalez probably will play, who had a concussion. So having that extra day, so it makes a huge difference in the concussion cycle. I'm taking the Patriots out. They're the more complete team to me. I really like how they're running the ball right now with that 1-2 punch in Stevenson and Henderson. Um, I think Drake May will play better in this one, and I was super impressed with their defense. So I think it's going to be back and forth with the defenses, but ultimately I trust Drake May a hell of a lot more than I trust CJ Stroud and the Patriots at home. So give me the Pats.
I'm going Houston, man. I can't switch up now.
Wow.
I picked Houston last week. That was my prediction for them to go to the AFC Championship game and win 2 games this year. It's 3 years in a row they've won a playoff game. So I'm not switching up now. I will say I'm not as confident in this pick today as I was a week ago because I was not like you were. I was not impressed with CJ Stroud's performance last week.
No,
No,
dude, he
Nico
looked terrible.
Collins is a killer for sure. Absolutely. Like there's no way of sugarcoating it. And it is valid to be concerned about this offense, but I'm not picking Houston because their offense, dude. I'm picking Houston
That's
because their
fair.
defense. I'm like, could I see a 17-13 win here? Absolutely, I could see that. I like the under here. I don't think either team touches 20 points. because I mean, like I said earlier, they combined 9 points allowed last week. Granted, like that is a beat up Chargers offense. That is the Steelers. So it's not the stiffest of competition. And it will be a much bigger test for Houston's defense in this game, given how Drake May has played. But let's not act like New England's got stars aligned on that offense either. You know, like their offensive line is significantly improved. Drake May's been great, but they've feasted on lesser competition all year. And I do think when it's like time to line up those receivers, they're going to get Stingley and Lassiter and Petrie. It's going to be a problem for them in the passing game. So I think both teams, honestly, I was encouraged with what I saw from Woody Marks last week. I think that was the best game
Yeah.
that I've seen from him. Like, given the circumstance, it might not be the highest yardage total, but the way he ran the ball
He did look
in
good.
the moment,
And Chubb
he
looked good too.
And Chubb did too. Old man Chubb, you know, you gotta respect that guy. He's not a legend, but you know, he's a great back of our era, like that we grew up with. So I think both teams really have to rely upon their run game here more so. And I do think the team that wins will be the team that runs the ball more effectively and which quarterback can limit the turnovers. I don't even necessarily think Drake May is going to turn the ball over a lot. Like he might throw a pick here. Maybe Ramondre fumbleitis comes back out. I could totally freaking see a Ramondre fumble. Totally. I'd be curious to see if you could bet on that. I could see that happening. But really, it is this Houston defense that I'm rolling with. I think whether it's Daniil Hunter or Will Anderson lined up over old man Morgan Moses or the rookie Will Campbell, it's going to be a problem for those Pats tackles. So if they can sack May 5 times, I think they get the win here.
Wow, that's actually, just looking at it, like Stevenson plus 155 is the lowest odds to score. That's crazy.
Insane. We're not touching this.
I mean,
shit.
the over-under's at 40.5. You know, honestly, just looking at the props, there's not a whole lot to like here. Like the passing yards are a little
Dude, I'm not touching
iffy.
shit props wise in this game. I'm just going to take
I
Houston to win money line.
One I do like is Hunter Henry receiving at 40. I think, like you highlighted, like it's going to be tough for them to get the receivers open, you know, with some of
like
this
that too,
Houston's
actually, yeah.
secondary, and he has been Drake May's number one target. So I like him. And if there was any probably Patriot I would pick, it would be him to score at plus 190. Just because he's kind of been Drake May's safety blanket all season.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. Hunter Henry's a really underrated player as well, and I do actually agree with that. You can't even take Houston props right now because the Nico Collins situation is up in the air.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Outside of you could do the passing yards for Stroud and then the rushing yards for Marks.
But you can't take any receiving yards currently as it stands.
That's all right. Don't think I would have touched it anyway.
No, I'm not either, dude. Stay away from props. Just pick a side in this one and root for your side. Whatever you believe is in your heart, but I recommend Houston.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the last one. I think this might have to be your 2-touchdown game.
Yeah, this is totally going to be the 2-touchdown game. We got the Rams and the Bears, and the Rams are 3.5-point favorites on the road.
Disrespectful.
That hook is interesting, man. That makes it tough. I would totally buy the point if I'm taking the Rams spread. Total 48.5, the highest on the slate. So points. We saw both of these teams put up a lot of points last week, and their defenses also kind of let up a lot of points. So both games would have smashed this over. It does scream the 2-touchdown game for Big Dog. You mentioned earlier, Reagan, we got a great question from Caleb on if the Bears are a team of destiny.
And they are.
I don't believe they are. I said I'm taking the Rams. You said you believe they are. You're taking the Bears. Tell the people why the Bears will win.
Look, everybody. I mean, this Bears team just has been winning all season. I mean, you can see this offense has taken a major step forward. You see what Caleb Williams has been able to do all season. And he seems like he's just getting better and better and better every week. And probably the emergence of future All-Pro, Colston Loveland, helps out a lot because he seems to be, you know, his number one target now. And then Luther Burden seems to be his number two. And then like even DJ Moore.
When Rome got back last week, Burden kind of took a back seat and was the three. Like Rome kind of overtook him.
You think? Because Rome only had 2 catches. I mean, actually, really, Loveland was the one, and then the 3 wide receivers is kind of like picking your poison. I mean, not to get off my tangent, but I mean, Adunze's at 35 yards, Burden's at 40, and Moore's at 29, and Loveland's at 60. So that tells you where Vegas is at.
They're all very much bunched together, yeah.
See, and I like all three wide receivers to get over that. Like, I think all three could get over 40 receiving yards in this game. Like, that's
I
actually
mean,
crazy those lines are that low.
if you like the Bears, I don't like the Bears, so I'm not touching that shit.
I mean, yeah, but you like the Rams. You don't think Caleb – I would think Caleb will be over 250 passing yards. So,
I would too. I would too. But
like,
it's
I don't know. Those are some low lines. You can like the Rams and still like those lines. But regardless, man, I think they're going to get it done. And maybe, listen, the weather is going to be very bear weather, you could say. They're calling for 12 degrees. So I think that factors in as well. You're not playing in beautiful California. It's going to be windier. It's going to be Chicago weather. It plays into the favor. And the Bears city is going to be coming out going wild. I mean, I guess for the Rams, it doesn't matter because even their home games feel like away games most of the time playing at SoFi, similar to the Chargers. But I think it may have to be similar to that Eagles game where it's a heavy dosage of Swift and Monungai if you really want to get it done. And I think the run game's going to have to be involved. But listen, this Rams defense is very beatable. I mean, both of these teams have middle-of-the-pack defenses. We saw what Bryce Young and the Panthers were able to do against them last week. So I don't think the Bears will have any problem putting up points in this one.
The Rams defense is definitely better than the Bears defense, for sure. Absolutely.
I don't know how you could say that.
What do you mean, bro? Chris Shula, their DC, is one of the hottest head coaching candidates for a reason.
No, that's great.
Defense.
That's great, but
Their
I don't think you could
definitely
say
better than the Bears defense.
Sure. I don't know if you can say that. I mean, look what fucking Bryce Young and the Panthers just did last week to him. They just lit them up in the playoffs.
Okay.
They've been getting lit up down the stretch. They've been getting lit up. 31 to the Panthers, 20 to the Cardinals in Week 18. That doesn't matter. 27 to the Falcons, 38 to the Seahawks, 34 to the Lions. I mean, they have been getting lit up down the stretch. Prior to that, 17 against the Cardinals, who have been a sorry team, and 31 again against the Panthers. So this team has a very, very overrated defense.
I mean, the Bears are 29th in yards allowed per game. So,
no, I'm not saying that. I
say the Rams are overrated, sure, but the Rams are better. The Rams defense is better than the Bears, for sure.
I mean, the Bears have also had some injuries throughout the season.
Sure.
I mean, they didn't have Jalen Johnson for the majority of the season. And listen, they looked bad against the Packers in the first half, but that defense also came out and basically shut the Packers out in the second half to have that comeback victory come to fruition.
They did. Hey, and I gave them their flowers. Allowing 6 points was very impressive. I gave them their flowers. Like, they absolutely deserve credit for what they did in the second half.
And I think there's also a difference between,
like
you're going from the full 17-game slate where injuries factor in and stuff. I'm just talking about how they've been playing over the last 5, what factors into that. And I don't think I'm not saying the Bears have a good defense. I just think both teams.
That's fine. You can move the goalpost. That's fine.
I don't think both teams. I don't think both teams
are going to. Go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I don't think either team has a great defense. That's why I said I think they're both very middle of the pack. This game is going to be won by which offense comes out and steps up here. It's not going to be won by the defenses. And I think it's going to be similar to that Niners-Bears game that we just saw, or that Bears-Packers game we just saw, or that Rams-Panthers game we just saw, or that Rams-Seahawks game where it's all offense and it just comes down to which quarterback has the ball last.
I do agree with you that I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I would take the over, and I do think the offenses are going to come to play. I do think there is a sense of where it's like what defense can force more turnovers and what defense can sack the other quarterback more can play such a major factor in what happens here because both offenses should be potent in this one, right? I'm going with the Rams because I believe in their championship pedigree. The comments that Davante Adams said today, too, was kind of crazy, where he's like, I want to finish my career with the Rams, and I'm telling guys on the Rams, including Puka Nacua, like, the grass is not greener. You guys should want to be here. It's not like this everywhere in the league, which I thought was really interesting. So I believe in the program they have. I believe in their playoff experience. I believe in Matthew Stafford's MVP season. I believe in Davante Adams and Puka Nacua, who combined for over 30 targets last week, and they could do that again. And I don't really think there's a corner in the league that can stop Puka Nacua. And it's like, okay, go ahead and double him.
I agree with you on that.
Davante Adams can cook. And there also were many games this year where that Bears run defense got absolutely exposed. And Kyren Williams and Blake Corum, similar to DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monungai, have been an awesome tandem this year. Both teams have great tandems. And that's also a thing where it's like, what team is going to be able to run the ball better to just keep the chains moving, to allow their high-powered passing attacks to go attack for touchdowns and not settle for field goals? And I think it's going to be the Rams, dude. I genuinely think it will be the Rams. By no means do I think this is going to be some type of blowout or anything, but
No.
I believe in Sean McVay in this moment where he's been. That experience wins out over first-time head coach Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, who, yeah, fucking awesome win last week. Happy for Bears fans. Like, that's got to be such an amazing feeling given the trauma they've suffered as a fan base. And I give all the flowers to Chicago because they had a hell of a season. And it's even crazy. They have the worst record in the playoffs left, and they're technically 12-6 on the season, which is a crazy stat. So it just shows you the quality of teams that are still remaining in the tournament. But this is where the road ends for Chicago in my mind. I think the Rams went out. They got the experience. Stafford, we just saw it last week, wasn't pretty. But when it came down to it, had to have it. They got the touchdown. They got the win. I see a similar game script in this one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's fair. But, we've seen Ben Johnson could just be that guy. I mean, listen, we saw he could be that guy. I mean, McVay lost his first playoff matchup, when he first came over to the Rams, and then the next year they were in the Super Bowl. So, some of these coaches, it's like they don't need the experience. Like, coming in the next year, it's like, oh, well, McVay doesn't have the experience. He's only ever played in one playoff game. Well, they made the Super Bowl the next year, even though they lost, but they did make the Super Bowl the next year. So I
Yeah,
don't know if
but
that
he
always
had a year
matters.
of playoffs before and then. So maybe you're a year ahead on your Chicago Bears, buddy.
Maybe we'll see. So what? Some touchdown scores, real quick. What any you're liking?
Dude, I tell you what, man. Devontae Adams feels due. Coming off the hammy, didn't score last week. I don't have the odds in front of
Wow,
me.
he's
Let me
actually the
pull.
favorite at -130. Believe it or not.
He's the favorite. I don't necessarily love taking the favorite. I mean, Kyron Williams at +130. Like, if you're gonna give me plus
Yep.
money on Kyron Williams, that just seems to make a lot of sense to me. And for Chicago, it's tough because it's similar where it's like Swift or Benungai, but we've seen Benungai get goal line work before, where you're almost kind of threatened by Swift. Although Swift did score last week, but what do you think of Colston Loveland at +190?
Yeah, that's what he was sticking
That's
out to me.
juicy.
That's the name that was popping to me right away.
Yeah, that's juicy. And the rent, like, and Kyron at plus money, I think is crazy too. Because of course the receivers, I mean, combining for over 30 targets last week, they're going to get theirs. But Kyron Williams also had a receiving touchdown. He didn't even get one on the ground, and it just feels like he's due. And the Bears' run defense
Yeah.
has not been ideal. So let's play around with this and let's go Kyron +130, Loveland +190. Let's
Yeah, give the
go.
people the official parlay tonight. Why not?
I don't think this is the official. I still want to have some leeway to move around on this, but let's fuck around and
No, because you can't. Then don't say it, because you can't say it and then change it later, and then this one's gonna hit. And you're like, why the fuck did I change it? You gotta trust your gut. That's like spinning the wheel again.
I know it's fucked because then it's like you say
If
it,
you
you
say
change it,
either
hits, and
either
you're just the biggest douche in the world.
if you say it, you got to keep it. If you don't want to say it, you don't have to say it. But don't
I'm not
if you
gonna
say
lie.
all four.
I need a fourth leg, and it's got to come from Niners Seahawks, and that's the game that's killing me. I don't know who to land on. Do we just go Charbonnet? Because I said Walker earlier. You know what I mean? That's where it's really bothering me. And I said I wasn't going to go JSN. You could go McCaffrey, but then it's like,
Go
all right,
Barner. Go Barner. Go Barner.
AJ Barner at +155. You like AJ
Yeah,
Barner?
go Barner.
Well, Reagan, we just fucked around and crafted a +3,000 parlay.
Get juicy, dude. Think about that. That would be big time in some crazy territory.
AJ Barner, Josh Allen, Kyron Williams, Colston Loveland. 2 tight ends, a quarterback, and a running back, +3,055.
I love it, dude. I love it. Listen, dude, Darnold does like Barner a lot. And they do have those weird, and he does get the QB sneaks too, where, Connor Hayward's been getting it with the Steelers, where it's the tush push on the 1 yard line. So that's always in play for a cheeky AJ Barner tush push touchdown.
Dude, you know what, man? Like, I trust you. I'm struggling with that fourth leg. We'll roll with AJ Barner. That is Big Dogs Parlay. You heard it here first.
Yeah, yeah.
3,000.
Yeah, it's
Josh
7
Allen,
touchdowns this year.
7 tutties. That works.
And
man.
1 was rushing.
Josh Allen, Saturday at 4:30. AJ Barner, Saturday at 8. Kyron Williams and Colston Loveland, Sunday, 6:30. That is Big Dogs Parlay. +3,000 to be the biggest hit in Big Dogs' career.
Yeah, let's fucking go. Let's go.
The divisional. Hey,
Lock
you
it
heard
in.
it here first. If you love Big Dogs, drop a comment. Would love to hear from you. If you love these picks, if you hate these picks, drop a comment. Love to hear from you. Perfect 6-0 last week. I'm looking forward to these matchups to go a perfect 4-0 once again. Let's run the table. Why not? Reagan, your picks are going to be pretty bad if I'm running the table, but it is what it is, man. Only one of us can come out on top this week.
Hey, only one of us can, and I just hope it's the Bears and the Broncos. Keep those futures alive for me. Keep them alive for me. What can I say?